Wildest custom truck on YouTube? Oh, I think so. This time on Custom Works, carrying on from last week, we're going to be looking at the back of the 60s truck again. We've got a lot of shape going on there, and hopefully we might even get some fiberglass on it and make it hard and forever. Also, we're going to be looking at the front of the 60s truck and that wraparound light, and also the other, 4 headlights that are on the left-hand side. What is going on with this truck? Well, we're going to be looking at that as well and trying to make some sense of that whole asymmetrical madness at the front. Anyway, I realise I'm already in the workshop, but sort of like a catchphrase that has stuck is, let's get to the workshop. Okay, so last week we got the shape of those rear wings on the back of the 60s truck. What I'm going to do, I'm going to build some of it up in plaster. And this just gets that shape dialed in a bit better. You can get some nice straight lines, stuff like that. And the plaster I use bonding coat, which is meant for going straight onto bricks. But I mix in sort of like 10%, 20% cement with it. And what the cement does, it sets it off in about sort of 20, 25 minutes. So you can really work it, leave it to go off, then you can surf form it. Even the day after, you can still surf form it. Works really good, but it just sends it off a little bit quicker. If you use just the plaster, it can take days to go off. So when we get in that shape dialed in with the plaster. So one other thing on the plaster, yes, I'm using plaster that's meant for like making a house, and this is a car, but all the plaster on this, it's a panel where we can get to the back of it and we can take all of the plaster, all of the foam out, so none of that will remain in there. Like, I don't mind glassing over foam, if it's PU foam, or if it's polystyrene, and leaving that in there. But what you can't really leave in is plaster, because if it ever does get wet in there, it could turn to mush, it could, spoil the finish, or just drip out the bottom of the car, I don't know. But probably don't leave plaster underneath the fiberglass. So at the minute I'm working on that Continental kit and just trying to get the right shape. At the minute I can't open it, obviously it opens to get the bike onto the ramp. I can't open it. All I'm thinking about is the shape and where that's going to break down and where that's going to open from. I'll sort that out at a later date. Once it's in glass, I can really cut it about and see where that join line is going to fall. thinking of here is some sort of bumper. And I want the bumper to come from here, sweep around, come around this Continental kit, maybe some bullets, something like that. I don't know at the minute. And I just think that's going to finish off the back of the car really good, because this sticks out a long way. And it's just going to smooth and bring everything together as one. So what I've done, I've bent this piece of dye bond and I've tried to emulate the shape here. And I have this. Now, I'm going to extend it a little bit just to the middle, but what this will give me something to do, I'll be able to lay this down on a piece of plywood and then draw the shape of the bumper out. The back's going to be sort of scribed to the shape. Now, you may say I'm saying plywood here and there's plaster, and like I always say, you cannot build a car out of these materials. When it rains, it will just either wash away or go all bloated and weird. So all of this is going to be covered in fiberglass, and it will all be absolutely immortal when it's finished. But just for now, scraps of dye bond, bits of plaster, plywood, whatever, just make the shape. There is the bumper. And what I'm going to do now, I've got it at 4 inch off the floor, 100mm on these blocks of Headlight, and I'm going to put some foam around the back of this and stick it to the car. It sits so low, I probably won't sculpt the underside of this. I'll just sculpt the top. In sort of a section across it will be like a teardrop shape running back to the car. This will be painted in a different finish, probably a chrome or a gold. But the key thing is now, get it stuck back to the car and then get some foam on here so we've got something to shape at to give this that lovely sort of look. And you know what, I sketched that out on the bench. It's on here, and you know what, sometimes things just go right first time. It's a lovely shape, it's got a lovely line to it. Doesn't look like a bumper off of any production car, so we're all good there on everything's one off. So let's get some foam out, let's glue it on, and then let's do some shaping. I'm really happy with the shape, how it's turned out. This is going to look great when it's glassed and filled and eventually chromed. Okay, and so now if we look at the whole thing, it's covered in foil, and this is just normal tin foil from like the shop at the end of the road, and I've used some contact adhesive, spray on contact adhesive on there just to hold all the foil down. And now what I'll do with this is I'll go over this in fiberglass, in Kustom matte. Now, why put the foil on? Well, first off, if you just put the fiberglass resin onto the polystyrene, it will just melt it away. And I'm sure we've all urinated in the snow before. We know what that looks like, it's not good. Tin foil just builds a barrier between those things so it can keep its form and you can get the fiberglass on. Also, acts as a great release agent. Tin foil doesn't like to stick to fiberglass, so when we get underneath and pull all this out, it will easily separate from the fiberglass because of that tin foil. So, very important step. Don't skip it, or it'll all melt like snow under urination. Okay, and so taking a look at this. So what we're looking at is this, which is the, as you can see now, we've got this trim that runs around the front of the truck, and this is all one piece. It doesn't fit very well just here. Look, I can almost get my hand in there, and this is definitely a gap that you know, undulates all the way across. You can really see there that this is a terrible fit and no good for a piece of trim. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to back mask this. So I'm going to put masking on the inside of here, then I'm going to put filler on here, I'm going to push it up against it, and the filler will mould to the back of this, but also give me the perfect profile as this fits up. It will also give me the height just here, because obviously that's very low, but it will make this fit a lot better. So let's get some masking tape and let's do that. Okay, so this bit, this all comes off. We have this here, and this is the back edge that I'm going to mask. Okay, so we've masked the back, and this is looking pretty good. We've got the masking tape all along there, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go in, and with the filler spread up, I'm going to get some filler down the back of here and start to close up that gap, and also gives a more sort of correct sort of shape to this front, because it looks pretty good, but I've got to say it is just sort of like thrown together and it's pretty rough at the minute. And there's no real sort of finesse to the shape. But this is where we start finessing that shape. And the fit of the components really dialed in. So I'm going to get some filler and I'll wedge it down that crack. On here, I've got my masking tape, and this shouldn't have glued it on forever because it is only glued to the tape, so this should come to bits. Let's try and prise it off, hope we don't break it, and well, just hope it comes off really. Got quite a lot of flash in it from where that piece of trim has sort of made this edge. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the flashing off, like just here. Look, it's just loads of it. So I'm going to get rid of all of this, and then we'll see how it fits. Now I've got all that cleaned up, I've put this light bezel back on, all the lights are going to be in here. And I've added a bit more filler to this. And what I'll do now is I know that whatever filling I do up to this edge, it's not going to stick this back on forever because it'll just be like a millimetre bit of sort of filler. So I'll just keep filling and hand sanding to that edge. Then this will click off. And then any little bits, I'll just take out with some 120. And then, you know, that'll be sort of ready for priming. And this will fit to that with like with a factory edge. Okay, so another thing I've made, and for the front of the 60s truck, is this headlight bezel. Very much in the same way as I made the front bezel on the light on the front of the meat wagon. It's just a piece of dye bond that's been covered in foam and then shaped into this shape. And that fits badly, but it does fit on there. And it's about the right shape, it comes in here. But at the moment, this has only got one layer of glass over it. And there is absolutely nothing to strengthen this edge. So I'll be going around this with some more fiberglass and giving it a coat of filler and getting it about right. And then I'll be offering it up again, and the panel gap good just here, getting it all to fit really nice and get so that these two shapes perfectly mirror each other between the headlight bezel and, well, the other headlight bezel, I suppose. And then this should all start looking a lot better. And like I always say, I'm trying to make this look factory. like it was built in a factory. The Lord knows what factory would make this, but that's what I want it to look like it's all been made properly. And of course, all this will be done in sort of like a chrome finish when it's done, and it's gonna be amazing! So, this is how I made it. Yes, my hands are up. I pressed the wrong button on the camera and just took a photo rather than filming. But what I did, I put the foam on, we've let it dry, and now it's ready for sculpting. Okay, so now that resin's dry, I've trimmed this up, got all the sort of ragged edges of fiberglass off, and got quite a nasty fiberglass splinter in my finger that really hurts. So now I've got this, and what I'm going to do with this, the next stage here, is to make sure there's no high spots on this, and then I'm going to go over it in some fiberglass tissue. And what I'm trying to do here is get these back edges so that this is linked to that. Only needs one little bit of tissue, and it should go around this shape nicely. But I just want this to be plenty strong to go on the front, and like, as far as weight goes, this weighs nothing. So, you know, I can afford to put quite a bit more glass and filler on this to get to that perfect shape that I want to meet up with the other bit on the truck. Oh yes. So I'm going to get on with this, get a bit more glass on this, and then over all of that tin foil on the back of the 60s truck, I'm going to glass all of that. Let's get it glassed, let's make it permanent and forever. Okay then, so once again, we come slowly but surely to the end of the road. This week we've seen a lot of sort of sculpting and stuff like that, and making of crazy shapes to be used on crazy cars. And next week we'll be doing more, so tune in then. In the meantime, don't forget, click subscribe, bell icon, all those other things that you have to do, all that sort of admins. Leave a comment down below, all of that. Maybe even go to our Etsy store and buy a t-shirt. Well, that is it for another week. I thank you very much, and good night.